Renee, and wherever he lines up, he's awfully good.
He's really good, Ken, and he's got 4 touchdowns, 8.8 yards per tote. He's also got 8 grabs, 18.5 yards per catch. 2 touchdowns go along with that. He runs a 10.700 meters. He was 5th in the state last year with a 21.9 200 meters. And Jay Roth just wants to move the ball downfield methodically with these 10 to 12 play drives.
And of course, Adams has a sprained ankle of his own accord, but he will play here this afternoon. Rummel, a big offensive line led by Chatelain and Hollinger. On the defensive side of the ball for Rummel, they're big and strong up front. Of course, they have Brandon Dabdoob, a very good defensive lineman. They have Chris Clark, a very good linebacker, and an experienced secondary.
They really, really do, Ken. It's going to be interesting to see. They will be tested this evening. This win may be a factor a little bit, but the ball's going to be in the air quite a bit.
The Jesuit Blue Jays are playing well. They're 3-3 overall, but they've won 2 in a row. They've beaten St. Augustine and Brother Martin back-to-back, and Jay Pittman's team has confidence. They're coming off of a state semifinal appearance of a year ago. When you look at Jesuit, you have to start with the running game. They have a great 1-2 punch. Brant Quick, who's terrific, we'll have more on him in a moment, and Will Washington, who's back from injury and playing well.
Will Washington will be coming back, and they'll expect to get both of those guys with their hands on the ball quite a bit. Brant Quick, he had 260 yards against Carver, 160 against Holy Cross, 130 yards against Brother Martin. He runs a 4.6 40. He is the total package, a lot like a Mark Allstott from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and you see his hands on the ball quite a bit this evening. They want to move the ball down in 3 yards per tote, per carry, and just move the ball down. They figure they'll break one if they get 3 yards every time they touch the ball.
A big sophomore quarterback in Rittner. Sean Grant, perhaps their best wide receiver, will not play today. He's not suited out, has a twisted knee. The Jesuit defense, terrific against the run. They just don't allow you to run the ball very well. That's Rummel's strength.
308 yards this Jesuit defense has given up the entire season, only -5 against Holy Cross. They just shut you down and dare you to run against them.
When you look at Jesuit, Brandon Moore, Mark, and Lenfin are good up front. And of course, at linebacker, Ryan O'Neill is one of the best in the state.
Ryan O'Neill, he was an All-State last year and an All-Metro Defensive Player of the Year. He will be a senior this year, All-State, I'm sure.
Rummel and Jesuit coming up, back with the opening kickoff in a moment on the WHNO Prep Football Game of the Week.
The WHNO High School Game of the Week is brought to you by Lamarck Motor Company, Piccadilly Cafeteria, River Parish Disposal, Radiophone, Sam Yonter, Attorney at Law, Archbishop Rummel High School, John Curtis Christian School, P.F. Chang's China Bistro, Prime Equipment Company, Melorine Seafood and Po' Boys, New Life Center, Love That Smoothie, and WHNO TV 20.
Rummel Raiders taking the field. Archbishop Rummel, big football team, a team ranked 10th in the state, and expectations very high this year for the Raiders. 3-2 overall, 0-1 officially in 9-5A. Jay Pittman on the opposite sideline for the Jesuit Blue Jays, 3-3 overall, but 2-1 in 9-5A. Rummel won the toss, elected to defer their option until the second half. Christian Louvier will kick it off for the Rummel Raiders. Rummel will be defending the south goal line, and deep to receive for the Blue Jays will be 24, and of course that's Gary Bordelon. And here's the kick away. It sails way out of the end zone. Louvier kills it. That's a touchback, and Jesuit will have possession for the first time at their own 20. Let's set the Blue Jay offense for you as the blue-clad Blue Jays take the field. Jesuit offensively, a terrific running game this year. And here they are with Kevin Block, a very hard-nosed center, Sean Malik, Locke Anderson, P.J. James, Jimmy Courtney outstanding at left tackle, Jared Diskin, the tight end. Sean Grant is hurt. He's not playing. Stopa and Christ will play quite a bit. Gode outstanding. Rittner, the sophomore quarterback. Washington and Quick, a great 1-2 punch at running back. Set for action, 1st and 10 Blue Jays as they start at their 20. 3 wide receivers right. Now some motion as they go with a trip set right. Rummel with only 2 men to that side of the field. Single setback. Rittner with a quick drop looking that way. He'll stop. He'll throw deep over the middle. Tipped and almost intercepted. Incomplete as he tried to get it out there to Jason Stopa out of a 3 wide out set, and it will be 2nd and 10. The Raider defense is a good one. Let's take a look at the Archbishop Rummel defense with Amin, Brandon Dabdoob, Benny Mills, and Steven Segari up front. The linebackers are good. Dubuque, Chris Clark outstanding in the middle, and David Kirkley experienced outside. A very experienced secondary. Velasquez, Wiltz, Maenza, and Lamy. Jeremy Roussel hurt, not playing today. 2nd and 10 at the 20. Now the I formation behind Rittner. Quick is the up back. Washington the deep back. receivers to either side. This is the up back Quick, and he continues to pump those knees, but not much, maybe 2, to about the 22-yard line. And getting up off the bottom of the pile for Rummel, Jason Amin, the outstanding defensive end, 13 tackles on the year. That's his 14th. And it will be 3rd down for the Blue Jays, 8 yards to go, Renee, from the 22.
And Ken, as we mentioned earlier, they just be very satisfied to get 3 yards per pop and just move the ball down the field. Hopefully break one. If you get 3 yards, you're going to go for them 4th down. And with Brant Quick and Will Washington, they have the soldiers to run up and down this field.
Blue Jays break the huddle. Of course, they're in blue today. Rummel in the white uniforms, the road team, if you will. Blue Jays have receivers to either side now. The tight end Diskin splits out to the right as well. And now you get motion from Quick left and a quick hitch to Quick. Quick looking for room outside. Quick running hard, but he's down at about the 26. Has about 3, maybe 4, but that's all. Rummel is held, and it will be a kicking situation for the Jesuit Blue Jays as Maenza and Lamy were there for the Raiders.
Good defense by the Rummel Raiders. They play a little bit 4-3 with a little minimum of 5-man front. Rarely blitz, and they're going to put a little pressure on that sophomore quarterback, Rittner. We'll talk about him as the game goes on. You see Rittner drop back with a quick pop out to Quick, and he's bottled up before he gets the 1st down. Punting situation facing the Jays.
Rodrigue to kick it away. Ricky handles both punting and kicking duties. Nice punt. On the run, Velasquez drops the football, and he falls on it at about the 42. So Carlos pursuing that ball, dropped it, but he pounced on it, and Rummel will have good field position to start his first possession. 10:23 to play first quarter, no score. We take a look at the Archbishop Rummel offense as there is a flag on the play. We'll check the flag in a moment on the return, likely against the receiving team. Downfield, here's the Rummel offense. Brandon Graziano, 270. Michael Hollinger, 305. Hurley at 230. Boyacano at 300. Chatelaine, 330. The tight end Myers. The split end Nieto. Adams will alternate between running back and flanker. Darius Wilson at quarterback. Ryan Richardson will alternate at fullback with Stelz. And the tailback, well, you're going to see Adams. You're going to see Smith. You might see Parquet. Ethan Macaluso is the referee for today's game. We'll get his call forthcoming here in a moment as they're discussing this flag as we speak. Long discussion before sorting this one out. Ethan Macaluso is the referee. Landy Lanza, the umpire. The head linesman, Brian Lesh. The line judge, Bob Taylor. Walter Ecker, the back judge. And the electric clock operator is Talmadge Thomas. And the Blue Jays are coming back on the field, and I believe they might get the ball back after this turn of events. We're not sure. They are talking it over with both coaches right now, and that is the Jesuit offense coming back onto the field. That would be a big break for Jesuit.
And this game is going to be made up of breaks, Ken, and the early going it'll be interesting to see if momentum swings back to the Blue Jays on a 4th down punt, and they get the ball right back. We'll watch it quickly as the ball is punted to Velasquez. We can't see any penalty right here. It will be interesting to see what the explanation is. Velasquez bobbles it around. Lady Luck bounces it right back in his hands. Big one right here, Ken.
This is a 15-yard penalty against Rummel, and it gets Jesuit a fresh set of downs, and they keep possession, and the line of scrimmage will be their own 41-yard line. So a big call on behalf of the Blue Jays, and the first big penalty of the game goes against Rummel. 1st and 10 Jesuit at their own 41. High formation this time behind Rittner, and again some motion by Diskin. He lines up right. This is Quick, and he's hit right away. Benny Mills, the big 6'3", 260-pound junior right tackle, able to make the stop, his 18th tackle of the year. Those Jesuit cheerleaders are pretty loud, aren't they?
Really are, Ken. It adds a lot of excitement and color to this game. You mentioned Mills. He didn't go through spring, but he's got some great feet with experience. He'll be one of the best ones. He's already getting some peaks from Tulane, Southern Miss, and Michigan State. You see right here a quick give-off between the guards to Quick, and Quick went from a 5 flat 40 to a 4.6. He was a 205 junior, 225. What a load he is, Ken.
Gain of 1, 2nd and 9, the 42-yard line. Perrin Rittner under center. And he'll give to Washington left. Washington is smacked down hard. Hit immediately by 49 Chris Clock and 48 Jason Amin. Clock leads the team in tackles. 40 on the year. Last year had 89 tackles. This kid's very good.
Really is. Jason Amin, a senior on the outside. Ken, he's really pushes that line back into the backfield. He's got 3 sacks to his credit. Had a big sack against South Lafourche. Caused a fumble, really turned that game around. So Jason Amin, along with his mates in the interior line, do a great job for the Raiders.
As we talked about, Clock is really good, and He's a guy that as a junior at 210 plays bigger than he is. It's 3rd and 9 for the Jays at their own 42-yard line with receivers to either side. 9 minutes to play first quarter, just underway from Tad Gormley. Rittner will drop back in the pocket with time, throws, and it's caught by Quick. Quick forward, close to a first down as he crosses midfield to the Rummel 49. He is right at the marker, and we'll see about where this ball is spotted as to whether they'll call for a measurement or move the chains. It looks like they're going to signal for a measurement here as Rittner hits Brant Quick, who's an outstanding receiver, the captain for the Blue Jays. That's his 8th catch of the year. He had 7 catches for 68 yards coming in, and he's had 2 in this game already, so give him 9 overall.
Big catch right there, right in the middle. Quick not only can tote the ball, he can grab it. He's got a few grabs this season and knows what to do with it when he grabs onto it. Ken, he is really a mismatch in the defensive backfield.
Quick has the first down, and the Blue Jays move the chains with 8:43 to play in the first quarter. So Perrin Rittner gets on track. Perrin was 4 for 13, 74 yards against Brother Martin in their big win a week ago. And Jay Pittman says he's getting better weekly for Jesuit. He'll be a 3-year starter, as it appears. Lord willing, if he stays healthy. 1st and 10, the 49 Rummel territory. And again, the little hitch outside. This is caught, nowhere to go, and decked immediately is B.J. Christ, as Christ was hit by a host of Raider defenders. Michael Dubuque, the first man there, the strong side linebacker, read that very well. His 16th tackle of the year.
And Michael comes up and fills from the outside. He is doing a great job from his strong side linebacker position. He also gets a little help from Wiltz. But Michael Dubuque, I tell you, you don't want to stand around the pile. He will nail you. He gets a little nasty streak around game time, Ken.
No gain on the play. 2nd and 10, Jesuit, the Rummel 49. The give to Washington, trying to get outside, and he won't get there. The Raider defense pursues well. First man there, David Kirkley. He held on, dragged him down with help from his teammates. He's 2nd on the team in tackle. The junior had 26 tackles coming in. He had 9 in their win over De La Salle a week ago.
And Clock from his middle linebacker position, he's got 39 stops. He's a big one. He really feels good. Look right here, number 49. Kirkley gets a hand on him first. Clock helps out, and Clock really used to have some historic collisions with Michael Burks last year. It was unbelievable to watch practice and watch those two collide heads.
Likely passing down, a lot of shifting by the Jays. They show a strong formation left on 3rd down and 10 at the Rummel 49, and flags are down everywhere prior to the start of the play. So this a dead ball foul, likely working against the Jays. As we await the official signal, Ethan Macaluso says it's on Rummel offsides. Usually on dead balls, it's on the offense, but Rummel moved prematurely, so the Raiders with 2 key penalties already defensively in the first possession of the game.
Rittner's an interesting story, Ken. You know, his dad played at LSU along with his uncle Chris. They were Shaw quarterbacks and played at LSU. But they say Rittner's in the same mold of a Steve Foley, a Tim Parrington, Wayne Forsang. He could be as good as those former Jays, and he's only a sophomore, 6'4", 210. You know, he won the best throwing arm in the Bobby Bowden camp. He won the MVP in the Bowden throwing camp, so that speaks volumes.
From the 44-yard line, it's 3rd and 5 for the Jays. Washington the lone setback. Play fake by Rittner. All day to throw, and he does, and it is almost intercepted. Reading it all the way was Dubuque, and he had a whole bunch of room ahead of him if he could have held the football in that situation. This game is brought to you in part by River Parish Disposal, the only independent, full-service, locally owned and operated waste disposal company in Greater New Orleans. Commercial, industrial, residential, and compactor rental. Sales service are offered at a savings of up to 25%. Call River Parish Disposal and find out how you can save on your disposal needs at 738-7700. River Parish Disposal. Business stinks, but it's picking up. Rodrigue punts it away end over end, and a Jesuit bounce, and Velasquez fields it, and he will go down immediately. Velasquez hit near his 15-yard line, and so the penalty earlier results in Rummel losing about 27 yards in field position off of the penalty, but the Raiders will have their first possession with 6:23 to play in the first quarter from their own 15. We set the Rummel offense for you last time around when it looked like they were getting the football. We'll check the Jesuit defense after the first play here. Wilson will be the quarterback for the Raiders. Big offensive line. We told you about those sizes: 270, 305, 230, 300, 330. That's a lot of beef. Freshman running back Eric Smith dodged the eye. Richardson the up back. Wilson to Smith inside. He's hit hard right away. Maybe 2 as he crosses the 15. A lot of Jays were there defensively. And we'll set that Jesuit defense for you. Lenfant, Ertling, Moore, and Sonino up front. Bear, O'Neill, terrific at inside linebacker, and Chris Hannon outside, a good player. Secondary with Gary Bordelon, a returning starter. John Saunders and Joseph Fردella, the best in their secondary. Chad Miner is the rover for the Jays and a very good player as well. 2nd and 8 from the 17-yard line. Rummel's first possession. They send receivers to either side. Adams is playing, and he's wide left. Brissett is wide right. Split backs this time behind Wilson. Jesuit with a 50 front, 5-man look. Counter play to Smith. Smith inside, not much, maybe a yard if that. Ryan O'Neill waiting for him in the hole. Puts him down. It will be 3rd and long for the Raiders.
And Ryan O'Neill, he's the returning Metro Defensive Player of the Year. He's got Auburn, Ole Miss, Southern Mississippi, Tulane, and Illinois looking at him. Really, he covers ground to ground, 4'7", 40, can 6'1", 220. He is the total package. He's a throwback to the Dick Butkus type. He loves to get muddy and dirty down low, and you see Ryan O'Neill really filling. He will be a rare find at Jesuit, a 4-year letterman, and there's not many of those.
No gain on the play. 3rd and 8, Rummel at their own 17-yard line, and Wilson is going to run some option, and he slips and falls and loses a yard. And the Raiders will have to punt. Well, we saw slipping last week throughout the Holy Cross St. Augustine game, and we see Wilson slip trying to make a cut here.
Don't know if it was designed play. I think they just shut off the lanes. Jesuit shut off his running lanes, and rather than pitch it off, he tried to cut it back, and again, the footing was not too good right here. But Jesuit gets the ball back after holding the Raiders 3 and out.
The Rummel punter is Patrick Murphy. Jesuit blocked a punt against Rummel a year ago as a big play. Brett Gaudet deep for the Blue Jays, and a very fine punt here. Outstanding punt, and a fumble on the turf, and Jesuit has it. So both punts have been fumbled thus far, but both receiving teams have recovered. That's Chad Miner, who was able to get on it at about the 31. Jesuit takes over with 4:43 to play in the quarter. Kick game's important. It figures to decide this one, and why not, Renee? You look at the last 3 games played between these two schools, and Jesuits won 2 of the 3. Rummel won the other. The margins of victory have been 1, 1, and 3 points the last 3 years.
And it's always a war, and this game may be for a 2nd place in the district, and that's very important. Who knows what happens to the 3rd place team? Of course, St. Aug will have something to say about that, Ken.
Washington running left. Washington is hit immediately and dropped. Chris Clark is there again for the Raiders. Boy, is he playing good football, but that's no surprise as Clark makes the stop. He had 9 tackles in a big win over Salmon earlier this year.
He's got about 10 tackles per game, and he really fills, squares his shoulders. Watch, he plays just like a linebacker can, inside out, and makes the tackle squarely on the ball carrier. And he's only a junior, but he's already got Miami very interested in his services. 4'7", 40, bench presses 340 pounds, 6 feet 210. He can move. He's a good linebacker for the Raiders.
Gain of 1, 2nd and 9 for the Jays. Single setback. This is Quick with a hole. Quick going forward near the 40. He has substantial yardage, about 7, maybe 8 on the play. You get Brant Quick a chance to get his shoulders squared, and going forward, he's going to do tremendous damage. 17 carries, 132 yards, 3 touchdowns against Brother Martin last week.
And just a good play right here, good blocking. He cut it back against the grain. Good run, squares his shoulders, and you know, Brant Quick is 4'6", 40, but Ken, he's a member of that 1,500-pound club. We'll talk about that. 4 lifts, you must lift 1,500 pounds.
Benny Mills the stop. It's 3rd down, a long one, the 39-yard line for Jesuit. Quick again. Quick has the 1st down near the 42-yard line. Clock was there along with Dabdu, but the Blue Jays moved the chains and had their 2nd first down of the game.
They run behind P.J. James and Sean Malik. P.J. James only a sophomore. He really has come on, and good block right there by the center block as well. But P.J. James and Diskin with a good block as well. Brant Quick has really come on. We mentioned what kind of yards he's had. 260 against Carver, yards 160 against Holy Cross, and he's gaining confidence. He's more of a all-star type runner from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
From the 42-yard line, Jesuit 1st and 10, 3 minutes to play in the quarter with no score. Jesuit slots 2 men to the left side now, and they give to Washington. Washington hit immediately and dropped for no gain, as Jason Amin was there again from his defensive end spot to read it and make the play. Rummel defensive front, like the Jesuit defensive front, is very good. good size and good players.
Good look right there at Dabdu, but Amin plays this very well, fights off a blocker, and makes this stop. He had clear sailing had Amin not made that tackle. A little help from Dabdu. But, you know, Jesuit, Kenny, has 4 players, 4 J's, in the 1,500-pound club. That means you must lift in the bench, squat, incline, and clean 1,500 pounds. 4 Jesuit Blue Jays are able to do that.
Second down 10, the 42-yard line. Blue Jays have had the ball most of the quarter. Quick drop, Rittner throws in the flat. Pass caught by Quick, hit immediately and dropped. Good tackle by Michael Dubuque as he stops Quick after a very short gain on the play, and it will be third down and long for the Blue Jays. This game is brought to you in part by Prime Equipment Company, distributors of man lifts, tower generators, scissor lifts, and more for commercial and industrial contracting. For all your lifting needs, remember Prime Equipment Company. Jays will play 3rd and 8 from their 43. Play in from the sideline with B.J. Christ. They alternate wide receivers. Jays break the huddle. Again, it will be Quick, the lone setback. Rummel showing blitz, and they're coming. Quick release, and the pass is incomplete. Into traffic, intended for B.J. Christ, and broken up. Velasquez a good read. Wiltz was there as well for the Raiders, and the Blue Jays must punt it away.
And Maenza was also in on it, and Rittner, they're going to try to rattle him. He's only a sophomore, Ken. He needs confidence. He can throw the touch pass, has some poise. He's a great athlete, a good baseball pitcher. We mentioned he was the MVP in the Bowden passing camp. He also been to the Manning camp as well. He could be the best quarterback before he leaves Jesuit.
There's a look at Velasquez deep. Remember the wind playing tricks, blowing straight across and hard. Been hard to field these punts. Very high one. Velasquez, fair catch called for. Makes it right at his 30, so Rummel gets better field position for its second possession. However, hold everything. There is yet another flag downfield. Remember last time it resulted in Jesuit keeping the ball.
Yes, and you can't have those kind of foolish mistakes, not in a game like this. It promises to be a very, very close game, and Rummel shot themselves in the foot. I don't think that's the case here, but it will go against the Raiders.
That's going to set them back again, and they'll have poorest field position by the time this penalty is over with. So Rummel hurting themselves early in this one. This will be the 3rd penalty against the Raiders already in the game. We haven't played a quarter. Jesuit is yet to be penalized.
Good look at Coach Pittman right there. Done a great job since coming over.
It's a clip on the play against Rummel, and that'll put him back 15 yards. You mentioned Jay Pittman, and we saw him a moment ago. Jay is in his 2nd year. The record is 14-4. State semifinalist a year ago. Beat Ponchatoula 20-17. Beat East St. John 47-13. Beat Covington 24-0 before losing to eventual state champion West Monroe in the semifinals a year ago, 35-7. Jay, a former head coach at Chalmette High. Rummel football, their own 15 as they start from basically the same field position that they started their first drive. Adams in the backfield now with Richardson. And the straight lead with Wilson. Wilson cuts it in and gets to the 20 for about 5. Darius Wilson, an effective runner, their second leading rusher. 55 carries, 271 yards, 3 touchdowns coming in.
Sonino plays his right defensive end very expertly, skates along. He's got great feet. That's one thing that Coach Pittman insists on. A defensive end must have good feet. Good control right here by the defensive front. And you see 96 right here skate along as he picks up the tackle on Wilson. But Sonino really a great competitor. He really contains very, very well. Had knocked down an interception, knocked down a pass that turned into an interception against St. Augustine.
Myers right, twin receivers left. Adams alone set back, and H.J. gets the ball on the stretch play, and he is hit hard. Dropped immediately by Ryan O'Neal. Maybe a yard to the 21, and O'Neal's a terrific player. He's a big-time Division I prospect, the senior. The defensive MVP in District 9 5A as a junior last year.
Ken, he's running downfield right here, running downhill, and he causes the collision. Really likes to crash in on the running back. We mentioned he's a Dick Buckus throwback. Really likes to play in the mud and the grime, traditional middle linebacker, returning MVP. Bench press is 335, really
As the first quarter comes to a close here at Tad Gormley Stadium, with our score, Rummel 0 and Jesuit 0. You're watching the WHNO High School Game of the Week, brought to you in part by Lamarck Motors and WHNO Sports. Second quarter begins. Very fast first quarter, a scoreless quarter. And Rummel plays 3rd and 4 at their own 21-yard line. 3 receivers set. Lone setback Adams. Richardson in the slot right, the fullback. Long count by Wilson. Counter play. Darris will keep. Darris forward and across the 20 and out near the 21. Has a first down for the Raiders, their first of the game. Just a little counter, a quarterback counter play for about 6, and Darris Wilson moves the chains.
You know, he's a great leader, Ken. He's only a sophomore, 5'9", 165, great student.
But there is yet another flag. This, however, looks like it will be on the Blue Jays.
First penalty against Jesuit.
Ethan Macaluso, the referee, sorting this one out. This is a personal foul on Jesuit, so this is going to cost them 15 yards. And will really give Rummel some good operating room here.
Got a dead ball, personal foul on Blue. First down.
So the first penalty on Jesuit results in a 15-yarder, and Rummel now has it just outside their own 42, just underway second quarter with no score.
What size Rummel has up front, Ken?
Again, the lone setback will be Adams. This is Stelz in motion. Adams inside. Picks his way across the 45. He's out near the 47. Good forward drive by Adams. Has close to 5 yards on the play. H.J. Adams, 5'10", 190-pound senior. Boy, is a terrific talent. He's just had a terrible, terrible career due to injuries. Broken ankle as a freshman. Back problems as a sophomore. A broken leg as a junior. Playing with a badly sprained ankle here today. Did not practice all week long.
Grew up on the Kenner playgrounds at Butch Dewey and a descendant of Butch Dewey. Really a outstanding talent. Makes the most of what he has, and really, his motor is always running. Ken, we mentioned at 10-7, 100 meters when he's full strength. He's quite a weapon.
2nd and 6 from the 46-yard line. Richardson in motion. And flags down again. This play was blown dead before Adams could accept the football. And they'll sort this one out. So another penalty forthcoming, it appears, against Rummel here, which will be the 4th already in the game against the Raiders, and it is a false start against the Rummel Raiders. So that's going to cost them here 5 more yards. And it will be 2nd down for Rummel and about 11 yards to go. This game is brought to you in part by Cafe Cafe, the newest restaurant on the North Shore. Stop in for early morning gourmet coffee or tea. Cafe Cafe has a large selection of soups, salads, sandwiches, or one-of-a-kind desserts prepared fresh every day for lunch and dinner. Cafe Cafe is now open for lunch on Sundays. Cafe Cafe is located at 3900 Highway 22 in Mandeville. And don't forget the Metairie location at Clearview and West Esplanade. 2nd and 11, the 41. This is Adams breaking tackles. H.J. Adams to about the 49 with a good run for about 8. This kid runs hard. You can see how he gets those shoulders down, too, and always keeps his legs pumping.
Yeah, that's the important thing, Ken. It's not how many yards you gain, it's how many yards you gain after the initial hit. And he can bounce off the hits, 5'10", 190, 4.5 speed. Really finds the whole crease. Good block right here out in front of him, Moicano. And H.J. Adams makes the most of an opportunity. And, boy, once he gets in the open, it's Katie bar the door. He's going end zone bound.
I've always wondered who Katie was and where that door was located. It's 3rd and 3 from the 49. Minor on that tackle. Adams again inside. Adams straight ahead. Looks to have a first down. It's very close. Near the Jesuit 47. Needed the 48 in an inch or two, and that's about what he's gotten here, depending on the mark. Ball spotted down. And from this vantage point, it looks like he might have it by half a football, although they might call for the chains as we watch it again.
Well, they're bleeding down the field. You see a good pull right there by Hollinger, perhaps the best offensive lineman the Rummel Raiders have. In fact, he's being looked at. He's the rally guy. He could be the best offensive lineman since a guy you recall, Gary Radiker, went on to play for the LSU Tigers. They feel he's in that mold. Tulane, Virginia, South Central Florida have all offered. He's got some interest from Michigan State, Oklahoma State, Michigan State, Kentucky, and Ole Miss. Michael Hollinger.
Boy, you're going back. Gary Radiker, he was a good player. Phil Trish was a great offensive lineman at Rummel. Brady Muth was another that was really good. They've had quite a few over the years. First down, Rummel, Jesuit 48. They're starting to run right at Jesuit right now, which is probably their best approach.
That's their strength, Ken. You got some beef up front, as you alluded to, and you just lean on those guys and let them just move the pile and let the running backs look for the creases.
Darris Wilson singles for a timeout. We'll take the break as well. 9:24 to play first half with no score. You're watching the WHNO High School Game of the Week, brought to you in part by Lamarck Motors and WHNO Sports. The WHNO High School Game of the Week is brought to you in part by Lamarck Motors, by Prime Equipment, by Piccadilly Cafeterias, by Love That Smoothie, by the J. Wilton Jones Company, and by Cafe Cafe. 1st and 10, Rummel at the Jesuit 48. The Blue Jay cheerleaders enjoying themselves. Split backs this time behind Wilson. Darris wants to throw. Now he'll run, runs into his own man and goes down near the line of scrimmage. Ran right up the back of one of his own offensive linemen, center Bruce Hurley, on what was supposed to be a pass. Might have gotten a yard near the 46. It will be 2nd down, and we'll call it a long 8.
You mentioned Hurley. He was out 4 weeks with a knee strain, but there's no game like the Jesuit game. It's a must game for the Raiders. So he said, hey, Coach, put some tape on me, strap me up, I'm going in. So Bruce Hurley, after a four-game thing. You see Darris Wilson trying to make something there and just kind of bottle up before he got very far.
Jesuit all over the receivers, as we could see on the replay downfield. 2nd down and a long 8, short 9. Counterplay Adams right. Adams into the secondary, and he's forward across the 40 and down near a 1st down at the 37 as Rummel starts to get some running room, and H.J. Adams is exposing that running room. And Jason Bear gets up a little gimpy for the Blue Jays.
Jason Bear was a rover back. He will blitz from the outside. You see H.J. Adams right here. Good little misdirection. Follows a gaping hole right through the right guard. And some good yardage picked up. Some nice yards and knocking on the 1st down now for the Rummel Raiders. And they're starting to move the ball with huge chunks of real estate.
To the Jesuit 37 with 8:18 and counting here in the 1st half. Wide side, left side of the field. That's Richardson in motion that way. This is Adams again inside, and he bangs across the 35, and he's down to about the 33-yard line. Would be a 3-yard gain. And again, that's the personality of this football team. When you're that big and strong, patience is huge, and that's what they're trying to display at this point in time. P.F. Chang's China Bistro at the corner of Veterans and Severn and Metairie has it all. Location, ambiance, and most importantly, quality food. Let P.F. Chang's knowledgeable waitstaff make recommendations, share some dishes, savor a total dining experience. P.F. Chang's China Bistro open 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. weekdays, 11 a.m. to midnight Friday and Saturday. It's my favorite restaurant. It's at the corner of Veterans and Severn. 2nd and 8 to 34, option left. Pitch to Adams. That play's going nowhere. He'll lose a yard. Loses a yard because Ryan O'Neal was there to mess everything up. And if you don't account for this guy, you're in big trouble. He is a terrific football player.
And they boxed in the corners and did not allow to get outside, keep contained. That's what the defensive ends are supposed to be for the Jesuit Blue Jays. Great contain right here. Watch, Ken. Turned it back up. So that was a great play by Jason Bear from his Willie linebacker, turned it back inside.
You can see Graziano was trying to get to O'Neal, but O'Neal read the play, and Bear just couldn't get an angle on him. It's 3rd and 8 now at the 35-yard line. High formation this time, and Wilson will roll right under pressure, steps up, might run, he will. He's clocked. No gain as he's smacked down hard. First man there, Brandon Moore, the outstanding defensive tackle, 5'10", 245, and a junior. And we'll see what Rummel has in mind. Tough spot on the field. They might try to punt him deep here at the Jesuit 35.
Darris Wilson takes off, and I guess he wishes he could take this back. Brandon Moore really laid the number right. Wow. Brandon Moore, the strongest member of the Jesuit Blue Jays staff. He's another 1,500-pound member, 420 bench. And, you know, he was a swimmer, Ken. He's not just a big guy. He's got them long arms and really, really tough to get a block on.
Rummel will punt it. It will be Patrick Murphy. And Godet is deep, and a good snap with time, and he gets it away toward the sideline and on the run. Godet has it with room to the 10, 15, cuts back 20, and he'll be hit and dropped at the 21, so it's only about a 14-yard net. As that line drive kick just wasn't far enough toward the sideline, and Godet did an excellent job to go get it and get upfield and get the Blue Jays some valuable real estate.
Ken, you may remember Godet's uncle, Jimmy Godet, played catcher for the Tulane Green Wave and went up to Kansas City Royals. His dad, rookie. I think you know the Godet family pretty well.
Very well. I went to school with my brother. They were very close friends. Same class, in fact. Jimmy was an outstanding athlete, period. He was a quarterback at Jesuit as well. Back in the early 70s, 1st and 10 at the 21. Rittner to Quick. Quick escapes one tackle. Fights forward near the 24. Good effort by Quick. Not much there, and he managed to get about 3 as Mills was the first man there for the Raiders defensively.
You know, we talk about bloodlines. Quick's got a pretty good bloodline. He had 2 uncles. Henry and Ronnie went to Holy Cross, and of course his dad Lenny played in the 1978 championship game against St. Augustine. Gil Finnerty was on that team. See a good look at Brad Quick. So he's got some, I guess he's got some people critiquing his play each time he steps on the field.
2nd down 7, the 24-yard line for Jesuit. Washington this time. Washington fights across the 25 near the 26. Clock has him. Clock continues to make tackles for the Raiders. Kirkley there as well. But Clock has been the man, and really not unexpected. Both inside linebackers have been terrific thus far.
Well, yes, the way this defense is set up, and you got 2 good linebackers, 2 good middle linebackers. Rummel going to a 5-man front with 8 men in the box, kind of challenging the young sophomore to throw the ball, and they've been staying on the ground with a little success. 3rd down. Be interesting to see what the Jays call on this play.
3rd and 4 from the 26. Quick, the motion man. Rittner into traffic, and they're going to call him down. Boy, that is very interesting. Near the 30, the ball never hit the ground. Raiders come away with it. Kirkley to the end zone. They're going to say that the receiver, Christ, was down and right near a 1st down. And what an interesting play this was. And certainly worth another look. Looks to be just short of a 1st down where he lands. Rittner's passing the traffic, and Renee, let's see if this ball ever hit the ground or if the receiver was down, most importantly.
It's interesting, real quick, Kenny, you got to make a quick decision. Don't know if we'll have from this vantage point. If we see, we won't be able to see.
He looks down right there.
He
Good
was
call.
down.
Well, that's an excellent call by Ethan Macaluso's crew. They just seem to always get it right. That was a perfect call. The ball never did hit the ground, but the receiver was down. It's a fake punt. This is a 1st down for Quick across the 35, out near the 38. Velasquez tackles him, but a great call and a 1st down for Jesuit. Is actually Brulette on the tackle, and the Blue Jays retain possession.
Perfect play for this this opportunity here. Perfect opportunity for this play where Quick took it from the center. Little acting by the punter, and fooled everyone for a moment, enough to make the 1st down. Tackle made down the field, but not before the damage was already done.
Oh, you've got to have some heart to coach this game. Jay Pittman and his staff certainly displaying that. Outstanding, and a 1st down. Jesuit maintains possession. And they have it at their own 38 with 3:28 and counting here in the 1st half. Quick in motion. And a whistle's blow once more to stop play.
We mentioned Quick before. You know, Ken, he was a 205-pound junior, ran a 5 flat, through a lot of hard work, and of course, expert Tom Shaw, he worked over the summer.
Illegal procedure, blue.
That's going to be on Jesuit for 5 yards.
Illegal procedure, blue.
It will be 1st and 15, and this game is brought to you in part by J. Wilton Jones Company, distributors of hardware supplies for commercial and residential usage. For your sheet metal, copper, aluminum, and stainless steel needs, remember J. Wilton Jones Company at 2420 Piedmont Street in Kenner.
And he's a gym rat, Ken. He went from 205 to 225 with a 4.640, and it's become, through determination and hard work, a major college prospect.
33-yard line, 1st and 15. Clock winding down in the 1st half. Under 3 minutes to play. Washington hit in the backfield. He has nowhere to go. Clock tackles him after David Norman initially had penetration. Norman, defensive end, a 220-pound senior, had an interception, 7 tackles, and a sack against De La Salle.
Really comes from the outside. He splits time at defensive end. Did a good job of really shutting it down and allowing Clock to make that tackle. A good tandem right there between Norman and Clock.
Mills coming in to help out as well. Blue Jays taking their time getting this play in from the sideline. Big loss on the play of 3 yards. It's 2nd down, 18 to go from the 30. 2:15 and counting 1st half. That is Quick in motion. Play faking Rittner. Good fake. He's going to go deep up top into double coverage and incomplete. Rummel all over that particular play. Gode, the intended receiver, but the Raiders were there defensively. Wiltz was back there for the Raiders in the chase position. And, of course, on the coverage as well, Velasquez. He's a terrific player. Just named Amateur Athlete of the Month by the Nokia Sugar Bowl Media Selection Committee for his outstanding exploits in baseball.
Great cover guy. Yeah, he's the leadoff hitter for Coach Cazzo's team. Center fielder. May have a future in both football and definitely in baseball.
Third down, 18 Jays from their own 30. Rittner will throw it. The deep route wide open and incomplete. Getting out there and getting open on the play. The intended receiver was 82, Jason Stopa, but the pass was a little bit too tall and carried him toward the sideline.
You know, he's a 4-5 guy, Kenny, and he's the guy that like to put in the stretch that defense, and he can get behind them, which he did. And he's a lot like an H.J. Adams. They feel like he's got a future. He's got a lot of speed, and you have to give him some respect as a defensive player.
Rodriguez to punt it away, and again, it will be Velasquez deep. Good snap, good rush. He just got it off. End over end kick, tough to handle. Velasquez does, and there's another illegal block. Every time Rummel receives a punt, they commit a penalty and they bury themselves, and that's not very good football.
Well, it was right in front of the official. I guess if you're going to do it, trying to get away with it a little bit away from the official.
Pretty obvious at the point of attack that would occur, and now Rummel will be pinned back, and that will change their approach here with a minute 46 to play. They'll probably keep it very simple now.
It
because
definitely
of
will.
this.
You can see H.J. go to H.J. Adams early in this series right here.
Clippers penalty on the blue. On the head. On the head. Clipping on the blue.
Of course, he said on the blue, but I'm sure he's referring to the white team. Rummel, as the ball goes back to the 16-yard line with a minute 46 to play in the half. 4 penalties now against Rummel and 50 yards. Well, there it is, Renee, right there.
Hit from the back, and he was right in front of everyone. He was featured out on the stage here, and couldn't miss that block, and unfortunately it happened.
Smith, the lone setback for Rummel now. Adams from the wing gets it, and he's hit hard by Jesuit. O'Neal, along with help from Lenford, as he comes from across the formation. The scoreboard is a little bit on the fritz here as we speak. Clock running. Jesuit offense talking it over. Adams gets a yard, 2nd and 9. Under a minute and a half to go. Should Jesuit stop Rummel on this play, they would likely start taking timeouts to get the ball back. Raiders cognizant of that, taking as much time as they can. Rummel extremely well coached under Jay Roth in his 4th year. 27 and 14. They've been in the playoffs all 3 years under Coach Roth, a former Jesuit assistant. This is Smith to the outside. Wrapped up and stayed in bounds. Very little there. Does keep the clock motoring under a minute. As the freshman, Eric Smith, 5'10", 175, had 9 carries coming in. More work today with the injury to Parquette and also an injury to Adams, limiting him a bit.
You see him trying to get outside. The one thing I like about the freshman is his vision, and they say he's a north-south runner, but they liken his style to a Michael Burks when he was a freshman.
Clock now under 30 seconds. Rummel taking their time. 3rd down. No gain on the play. 3rd and 9. Rummel at their own 17. Receivers to either side. Wilson taking all the time he can, and they run option, and he'll keep it. Gets one block, gets another. He's loose. Wilson into the secondary, breaks a tackle, cuts it in across the 40. 1st down. Of course, the clock winding down toward the end of the half. Here's Darius Wilson, makes an outstanding run for the Raiders, but that does end the half. So Wilson breaks it for 25, but the half does arrive. And here at Tad Gormley Stadium, as we anticipated, good defense and close. In fact, no score at the break. We're back in just a moment as we continue. You're watching the WHNO High School Game of the Week, brought to you in part by Lamarck Motors and WHNO Sports. Halftime here at Tad Gormley with no score between Jesuit and Rummel. Ken Trahan along with Renee Nato. This game is brought to you in part by Cafe Cafe, the newest restaurant on the North Shore. Stop in for early morning gourmet coffee or tea. Cafe Cafe has a large selection of soups, salads, sandwiches, and one-of-a-kind desserts prepared fresh every day for lunch and dinner. Cafe Cafe is now open for lunch on Sundays. They're located at 3900 Highway 22 in Mandeville, and of course, their Metairie location at Clearview and West Esplanade. I visited there a couple of days ago. It's good to see Jared back. It's a wonderful place indeed. And this game is being brought to you in part by Prime Equipment Company, distributors of man lifts, tower generators, scissor lifts, and more for commercial and industrial contracting. For all your lifting needs, remember Prime Equipment Company. Renee, first half, as we expected, very close. Close to the vest as well. These two teams run a lot of the same stuff. They know each other so well. It's almost like nothing is a surprise. And it basically comes down to execution and likely the kicking game.
Two very big teams, very physical teams defensively, Ken. And, yeah, I thought it'd be very close, but nothing to nothing. It's going to come down to the wire, and it may come down to overtime, regardless of the score. These two teams are very evenly matched.
You get the feeling that Rittner might have to make a play in the passing game for Jesuit. They want Brant Quick to get the ball more often in the second half, you would seem. And then as far as Rummel is concerned, it's very obvious that their best threat would be H.J. Adams.
Well, you got two trigger men of both sophomores, Wilson for the Raiders and, of course, Rittner for the Blue Jays. So you got a couple of guys that haven't been under the wire, under the gun very much, and they have to make some major decisions here. It'll be interesting to see if they grow up. This could be a major game in both these guys' career.
Wilson, a little bit of work that he was able to do running lead option. That might be something that they could go to in the second half. Almost got to account for Ryan O'Neal, though. He's been all over the field defensively.
Really, really has, Ken. And you can see why he was named Metro Defensive Player of the Year, and he's picking up where he left off last year, and why so many major colleges are hot on his trail.
Conversely, Jesuit has to account for Chris Clock. He's been all over the field for Rummel defensively.
Another major college guy when it comes time his graduation, but Chris Clock is also a very active guy, and both Ryan O'Neal and Chris Clock come out of the same mold. Both Dick Buckus type, like to get it down in the mud and the blood and really mix it up in the dirt.
Well, they're fun to watch. These are great schools, and they're good football teams, well coached. We're enjoying this. Halftime with no score. This game is brought to you in part by River Parish Disposal, the only independent, full-service, locally owned and operated waste disposal company in Greater New Orleans. Commercial, industrial, residential, and compactor rental. Sales service are offered at a savings of up to 25%. Call River Parish Disposal and find out how you can save on your disposal needs at 738-7700. River Parish Disposal. Business stinks, but it's picking up. No score at the half. Back with our second half of action. It's Rummel and Jesuit. And you've got us here on the WHNO High School Game of the Week, brought to you in part by Lamarck Motors and WHNO Sports.
The WHNO High School Game of the Week is brought to you by Lamarck Motor Company, Piccadilly Cafeteria, River Parish Disposal, Radiophone, Sam Yonter, Attorney at Law, Archbishop Rummel High School, John Curtis Christian School, P.F. Chang's China Bistro, Prime Equipment Company, Melorine Seafood and Po' Boys, New Life Center, Love That Smoothie, and WHNO TV 20.
Art by Lamarck Motors, by Prime Equipment, by Piccadilly Cafeterias, by Love That Smoothie, by the J. Wilton Jones Company, and by Cafe Cafe. No score as we start the second half. Ken Trahan, Renee Nato, and Ricky Rodriguez will kick it off for the Blue Jays. A good look at Ricky. In the deep position for Rummel will be Carlos Velasquez, flanked by Lamy and by Graff, as Rummel will touch the ball first here to start the second half. Rodriguez short approach, hits it nicely. Graff yields to Velasquez, backpedals to his 2. Upfield to the 15 to the 20, breaks it outside 25, and there's another slip. He tried to cut back and goes down near the 30. Again, the slippage on this worn, tattered, artificial turf. And it will be gone, but not a moment too soon in the very near future. As we start the second half, Rummel offensively will have Darius Wilson at quarterback. He's been there all the way. They've alternated running backs here today. And they open the second half with Adams in the backfield behind Richardson, and receivers to either side. Line of scrimmage is the 29 officially. And the fullback, Richardson, smothered for a loss. He's hit straight back by Brandon Moore. Perhaps a loss of 2 to the 26, and the Blue Jays, as mentioned, coming in are very good against the run, and they've been tough today against a bigger Rummel offensive front.
Moore and Ertling kind of slammed the door, and you see Brandon Moore right here. He plays a lot like a Warren Sapp. Kind of quick, doesn't look like he can move very quickly, but he really is. And we mentioned he's the strongest man, the Iron Man on the Jesuit Blue Jay defensive unit.
Loss of 2, 2nd and 12. Raiders at their own 27-yard line. Stelz in motion. Counter play Adams. He has room. He's in the secondary. He has a first down across the 40 and out to the 42. Well blocked play. Adams hits the hole quickly, and HJ has about 16.
Good occupy block down the field by punter, wide receiver Patrick Murphy, number 15. You see him coming to your screen as HJ scoots down the field. Good block right there. Seal-off block by the right offensive tackle. That was Chatelaine. Good block right there, Murphy. Tackle made on HJ Adams, who is scooting down the sidelines, but he does have a first down and good field position for the Raiders.
Graziano just got a piece of O'Neal, kept him from making the tackle from the 42-yard line. The Raiders moving the chains with a football. No score, early third. Adams into traffic. He's decked for a loss. Blue Jays just look good up front. Brandon Moore makes the stop again. Well, he's 5'10", 245. Jay Pittman loves him, and we have an opportunity to understand why after watching him play here today.
You know, I tell you, Ken, even though his size, he's not the ideal height for a defensive lineman. Penn State, Purdue, Illinois, Michigan State have really sent some interest to him, and he may have a future at the next level.
2nd and 12 at the 40. Counter play Adams. Fumble! And Jesuit says they have it. And they do. First turnover of the game. Jason Bear comes up with it. And Jesuit has the ball on the plus side of the field.
Jason Bear, you know, he's not a big linebacker, 5'8", 150. Not even sure if he's that big, Ken, but he plays a lot like remember Pat Fisher played for the Redskins and the Cardinals? A lot like him, just gutsy. Doesn't know he's that small, sticks his nose in there. He's a mighty mite, very hard nose, skates to the ball, did a great job, played rover back, and is doing a good job from his outside linebacker. Good field position now for the Jays.
Best of the game for Jesuit. Single setback is quick. Gets the ball, gets the hole, gets 7. Gets 8, maybe 9, near the 30 as Brant Quick turns forward for sizable yardage. And the Blue Jays have their first real opportunity to score in this football game.
You know, sometimes in that one back set, Brant Quick acts as his own blocking back. He just lowers the shoulders and makes a hole right here. The good cutback right there finds the crease and drags a would-be tackler with him for another big pickup of about 8 yards.
Sagari able to bring him down finally. 2nd and 2, 32-yard line. Blue Jays with an outstanding opportunity here. And Washington has a first down. Crosses the 30, down to the 27-yard line. First down, Jesuit. Kirkley on the stop.
The interesting thing about Coach Pittman and his staff, they don't really expect their offensive linemen to get pancakes or pins. Look, they just have good seal block, and opening holes allows their running backs to run through them and look for the creases. Jimmy Courtney is a good example of that. He's 6'3", 285. Of course, he does have some feelers from Tulane, Ole Miss, and Southern Mississippi, but he grades out at 88% each and every game and rarely has a pancake or a pin, but he plays very tough, and they run behind number 73 quite often.
From the 27-yard line, Blue Jays. And this is Quick inside with a hole. Brant Quick up the middle, 15. He's inside the 10. He's inside the 5. He's down near the 4 with a first and goal, Jesuit. Brant Quick running like a man.
Yeah, that's Saul Stat or John Riggins, I guess. Here comes the train. And, boy, he dragged a would-be tackler to about 5 or 10 yards, and he's now inside the 5-yard line, Kenny. This is just power running, and Jesuit is doing what Rummel probably should be doing, just leaning, letting the offensive lineman just lean forward and opening the creases and let their running backs run through them. Just breaks a tackle from Mayenza and drags Wiltz for a little ride here, and now Jesuit banging on the door.
First down goal, Blue Jays from the Rummel 4. Early third quarter, power I formation. This is Quick running right. He scores! Brant Quick from 4 yards out, and Jesuit is on the board first.
That's just good heads-up running. That's good instincts by a running back. Hits the whole right tackle and bounces outside. And that little extra speed and determination got him in the end zone. Watch, he was stopped momentarily right here, Ken. Just bounces it outside, always with good vision. The mark of a good running back.
Extra point attempt forthcoming from Ricky Rodriguez, and the Blue Jays are on top here with about 8:16 to play in the third. The scoreboard is not operational. It's a mess, and we'll be giving you our best estimate of time here throughout the course of the second half. Blue Jays, a little bit of confusion. They ran some offensive players on. Now they run them off, and they'll try the extra point. This is unsportsmanlike on Rummel. So an unsportsmanlike conduct on Rummel here is the flag. It's the 5th penalty against Rummel, likely to be assessed on the kickoff. Or actually assessed right now, half the distance. And they'll spot the extra point attempt at the 8-yard line. Line of scrimmage, the 1. Good snap, ball down. Rodriguez hits it, and he hooked it, but he managed to squeeze it through. Time out on the field, 8:18 to play. Third quarter, Jesuit 7, Rummel nothing. You're watching the WHNO High School Game of the Week, brought to you in part by Lamarck Motors and WHNO Sports.
The WHNO High School Game of the Week is brought to you by Lamarck Motor Company, Piccadilly Cafeteria, River Parish Disposal, Radio Phone, Sam Yonter, Attorney at Law, Archbishop Rummel High School, John Curtis Christian School, P.F. Chang's China Bistro, Prime Equipment Company, Melorine Seafood and Po' Boys, New Life Center, Love That Smoothie, and WHNO TV 20.
P.F. Chang's China Bistro at the corner of Veterans and Severn and Metairie has it all. Service, location, ambiance, and most importantly, quality food. Let P.F. Chang's knowledgeable staff make recommendations, share some dishes, and savor a total dining experience. P.F. Chang's China Bistro, open 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. weekdays, 11 a.m. to midnight Friday and Saturday. It's my favorite restaurant. It's at the corner of Veterans and Severn. As Rodriguez tees it up to kick it off, Jesuit has a 7-0 lead early third. Velasquez will be in the deep position, flanked by Lamy and by Graff. Blue Jays getting a turnover and promptly going 40 yards in quick fashion to score.
Yeah, they made the most of that opportunity, and the wind blows the ball off. You know, you got Velasquez back there, and, you know, he took a punt back 60 yards, not for a touchdown, against John Curtis, and you don't do that very much against a John Curtis team. So Velasquez is someone you really have to respect when he's back there waiting for the ball.
Need a holder now to secure the ball because of the wind. It's pretty strong, as we mentioned, blowing across. So the Blue Jays have to employ that. And Rodriguez will put his left foot into it. High and toward Graff at the 10. 20, buried at the 25. Good coverage by the Jays. Rummel with the football at their own 25. Let's see how they respond to Jesuit's 7-0 lead. Raiders have yet to complete a pass in this game. That's really not a forte for their team. In fact, coming in, Wilson had only attempted 31 passes, 15 completions, 265 yards, 3 touchdowns on the year. And typically when they do pass, it's an element of surprise and they hit big plays. Adams lined up at wideout. He split to the right, single setback. That is Smith from the 25. Quarterback keeper and nowhere to go. Wilson is buried by O'Neal. They ran that play in the first half with some success. Jesuit all over it here, and O'Neal continues to play outstanding football.
You know, we mentioned that Ryan O'Neal was it will be a 4-year letterman at the end of the season. He played as a freshman as a nose tackle and as a sophomore, and I'll take you back a little bit. His sophomore year, Ken, he had 11 tackles as a nose tackle against a guy you may remember who was an all-state performer at Shaw, Torrey Tully. So he knows. He comes up and gets up for the big games, and they move the middle linebacker, which has been his future.
Second and long 10 now for the Raiders. High formation dotted by Smith. Richardson the up back. On the option left, Wilson. Short side of the field, barrels forward for about 5 near the 30. It will be third down, a long 5 for the Raiders. A big possession down for Rummel here.
Jesuit knows that Wilson is not going to pass the ball, and you have to look at H.J. Adams as an offensive approach for the Rummel Raiders. He's got 8 grabs, 18.5 yards per catch, go along with 2 touchdowns. You see Wilson right here running that option, and you see the defensive players just skating along, looking for a crease, and Gary Bordelon really shuts off the outside and made him go back in, where Jason Bear made the tackle with a bear hug for the Jesuit Blue Jays.
So it's 3rd and 5, Rummel at their own 30-yard line. About 6.5 minutes to play in the third quarter here. 7-0 Jesuit on top. Wide side, right side of the field. Long signal call, and Wilson drops straight back. Darris in trouble. He's sacked back at the 28. Sacked at the 28. 51. Chris Hannon, the first man there for the Jays. And the Blue Jays are dominating here early in the third quarter.
Chris Hannon comes barreling in from his Sam linebacker position. His dad, I remember his dad very well, played at Holy Cross along with Dennis Delaney and Steve Farron, those guys. And this guy's a Jay now. Boy, he came and made a big play right here. Chris Hannon played as a middle linebacker his sophomore year and moved over to Sam for his junior season.
Patrick Murphy to punt it away. Gode deep for Jesuit. Low snap, but he dug it out. Got it off, end over end. And a good bounce for Rummel, and Gode lets it go. And this turf will have it dying finally at about the 29, and that's where Jesuit will get it for the second time in the third quarter, leading 7-0. So this becomes an important possession for both teams. A real chance for Jesuit to take control of this game. The Rummel defense has to step up in this situation. This is a key game. Loser of this game really faces an uphill battle to try to make the playoffs. Rummel 0-1 in league play. Jesuit 2-1, but still with tough games to play. This one of those. Washington has about 4 to the 33. Jesuit starting to get some gaps, though. Blocking has been better, and Amin makes the stop for Rummel. Right around the 33-yard line, where it will be 2nd and 6.
Good blocking up front, as you alluded to. Give the ball to Will Washington. Gets good blocking on the outside. Good seal block right there. Kick out by Diskin. And the right tackle, P.J. James, only a sophomore, beat out a senior for that position. And you haven't seen many sophomores start offensive line for the Jays. Bob Wynn didn't even start it when he was a sophomore here.
From the 33, this is Washington, hit in the backfield and dropped as Chris Clock fired across and decked him at about the 32. Clock continues to star for Rummel. Maybe their best player thus far in this game today. And it will be 3rd down for Jesuit and about 7 yards to go. This game is brought to you in part by Cafe Cafe, the newest restaurant on the North Shore. Stop in for early morning gourmet coffee or tea. Cafe Cafe has a large selection of soups, salads, sandwiches, and one-of-a-kind desserts prepared fresh every day for lunch and dinner. Cafe Cafe is now open for lunch on Sundays. Cafe Cafe located at 3900 Highway 22 in Mandeville and in Metairie on West Esplanade at Clearview. 3rd down and 7, Blue Jays. I formation with Rittner, the quarterback. And he wants to throw, and he will throw, and the pass is incomplete. Little bit tall for his intended receiver, Gode. Good coverage on the play by Velasquez, and the Jays will have to punt it away.
Ali Demarest really took Rittner under his wing and really helped him along. You know, he had Lance Hecker last year, and he feels like in the long run he could be better than Hecker. We mentioned he could be in the bowl of a Foley or Tim Parrington or even a Wayne Forsang. Could be great, maybe the best quarterback ever to wear a Blue Jay uniform.
Punt formation is Ricky Rodrigue. Rummel coming, and he just got it off. Good job by Rodrigue to get that thing off, and look at the bounce he gets here. Inside the 30 and down at about the 29. Turns out to be a heck of a kick under tremendous duress.
Patrick Lamy came storming in from the outside and just missed it. I tell you, he couldn't have missed it by maybe an inch or two off his fingertips, but it was a good punt, and Rummel starts here deep in their own territory, about the 25-30.
Rummel offense has sustained one drive today. It stalled at the Jesuit 35 in the first half. Really haven't been able to keep anything going, and we'll see what they're able to do here from their own 30-yard line with 3:58 to play in the third quarter of a fast-moving game. Adams, the lone setback. Good fake by Wilson, and his pass way over the head of Myers, who was wide open in the flat.
Myers was wide open. He was a 2-year starter at wide receiver. They moved him to tight end. 6'4", 195, really has to grow into that position. He's a senior.
Well, an indication right there. They're just not very comfortable throwing the football as the Jesuit offense on the bench getting some instruction. Myers was wide open, well-executed play, just the throw off target. It's 2nd and 10. Rummel is still yet to complete a pass in this game. Option play. This is Adams with nowhere to go, reading it all the way and smacking him down hard. John Saunders, the cornerback. No gain on the play. 3rd and 10 for Rummel.
Saunders comes in from his cornerback position. Got 4.5 speed, Ken, and came boxing in. 3-year player, was a rover as a sophomore. But, you know, he really kicked in the last 3 games and has stepped up his game quite a notch as exhibited by the play he just made.
Well, the teams that have done damage against Jesuit this year defensively are the teams that throw the ball well, which Rummel does not do, and that figured to be part of the problem for Rummel today, and it has been. 3rd down and 10 for Rummel at their own 30. Blitzing Blue Jays. Big pressure. Wilson sacked. And that is Moore leading the charge. As the Blue Jays had a jailbreak, they were all over Darius Wilson. Might have been trying to set up a screen, but he didn't have any chance whatsoever.
Brandon Moore, again, we mentioned he's a swimmer. He's got those long arms, comes swimming in through the middle, wasn't fooled at all, and makes the stop. In fact, that was Mark Sanino made the stop there. The sophomore right defensive end, great feet, comes moving in and made the stop on Wilson.
Definitely a screen pass. At least that's what they were going to try, and here's a punt forthcoming. Murphy hits it very high. Nice punt. Gaudet fair catch call for. Takes it at the Rummel 49. So the Blue Jays will start in Rummel territory for the 2nd time in this half. Scored on their other possession in Rummel territory. This game is brought to you in part by J. Wilton Jones Company, distributors of hardware supplies for commercial and residential usage. For your sheet metal, copper, aluminum, and stainless steel needs, remember J. Wilton Jones Company at 2420 Piedmont Street in Kenner. Jays charge to the line of scrimmage determinedly. Quick in the backfield behind Rittner on 1st and 10 from the Rummel 49. With about 2:38 to play in the 3rd quarter, 7-0 Blue Jays. Quick is met in the backfield by Dabdoob and stood straight up. Still couldn't get that tough guy to the turf, but Dabdoob's a load. He's tough. 6'2", 275, a junior. 22 tackles, 2 fumble recoveries coming in, and he's a guy that figures to be a Division I prospect next year.
He really will, Ken. He's already got some feelers as a junior from Tulane, Michigan State, and Southern Mississippi, but they feel he has the dimensions. Bench press is 350, squat 500 to be a dominant blue chipper in 99.
Loss of 2, 2nd and 12. Jesuit their own 49 now. Split Gaudet to the right and Stopa to the left. And offsides Rummel again as Amin jumps, and the Raiders continue to be plagued by penalties. Had a problem last year with penalties. They've had a problem here today, 6 of them now, and 60 yards. Jesuit's only been penalized once. And if you commit penalties and turn the ball over, you're going to have problems. 1 turnover, the difference, and the penalties have hurt Rummel as well. Under 2 minutes to play in the quarter. Gaudet and Chris to the right. Quick in the backfield. Now 2nd and 7. And this is Quick. Look at this kid fight. Clock hit him, and he just kept fighting forward for about 3. So strong. Clock held on. Amin helped bring him down finally, but a determined hard run by Brent Quick gets him across the 45 to the 43, where it's 3rd down and 4.
A lot of teams are looking at Quick, but if he had his choice, he would love to get a look at LSU, or love to maybe have a chance to go there, or perhaps an SEC school. And you got Vanderbilt, Georgia, Alabama, Ole Miss, and even a Baylor is taking a peek at him. And, you know, keep in mind that he's a pretty good baseball player. Caught and played first base and DH for Coach Morrow's group.
3rd and 4 at the 43-yard line, Raider territory. Washington gets it. Washington has room. First down and more. 35, 30, 25. He's down near the 20-yard line with a Blue Jay first down as the Jays come up big again. And they're starting to take over this ball game.
Good blocking on the right side. That's tight end Diskin along with James and Malik. And Washington just follows his shoulders and follows the right side of the line. James with a good block, Diskin with a good block, and Malik, one of the 1500 Ironman Club, and shows great speed, 4.6 as he gets deep in Raider territory.
To the Rummel 19-yard line, and Jesuit threatening again. This could be the final play of the quarter if they get it off. Clock winding down. We're down to 10 seconds and counting in the third quarter. From the 19-yard line, Washington tripped up and dropped by Clock. Just got him by the ankle, brought him down as the third quarter likely comes to an end here, and it does. So at the end of three quarters from Tad Gormley Stadium, our score, Jesuit 7, Rummel nothing. You're watching the WHNO High School Game of the Week, brought to you in part by Lamarck Motors and WHNO Sports. This game is brought to you in part by River Parish Disposal, the only independent, full-service, locally owned and operated waste disposal company in Greater New Orleans. Commercial, industrial, residential, and compactor rental. Sales service are offered at a savings of up to 25%. Call River Parish Disposal and find out how you can save on your disposal needs at 738-7700. River Parish Disposal, business stinks, but it's picking up. Jesuit side of the field, a happy side. They lead 7-0 and threatening as we start the fourth quarter. 2nd and 11 for Jesuit at the Rummel 20-yard line. As the Jays have started to get some pretty good running room for both Quick and Washington up front. Now Jesuit will re-huddle after going to the line of scrimmage initially. Jesuit State semifinalists 3 of the last 6 years. Rummel quarterfinalists a year ago. Two teams that have done very, very well, obviously. This game is brought to you in part by Prom Equipment Company, distributors of man lifts, tower generators, scissor lifts, and more for commercial and industrial contracting. For all your lifting needs, remember Prime Equipment Company. Rummel's been in the semifinals in state twice, 74 and 80. Jesuit, of course, 7 state titles, 12 district titles. Their last state championship, 1960. On second down, Washington bounces off of a tackle. He's inside the 15-yard line. Will Washington running hard. And Washington has about 5 on the play. And it will be third down and about 5 for Jesuit. Call it 6 at the 15.
Ken, I kind of feel there's a little more enthusiasm over here in Jesuit. Both teams are sky high for this game, but, you know, it's confidence. And Jesuit feels like they have this game in their grasp right now. And at the 15-yard line, as sure all indications are, Jesuit could really make it very difficult for Rummel to come back if they can put a score on the board of any kind right now.
It's third down, and we'll call it 6 from the 15-yard line, wide side right. Twin receivers left. Motion man, Stopa. And whistles before the play. You get the feeling that a score by Jesuit here would, in all likelihood, win the game for them.
It could. It's going to be tough the way Rummel unless they change some things. They haven't had any success passing the ball, and Wilson has been bottled up quite a bit. He's run some quarterback keepers. I guess if they can open it up, they can make this into a closer game, regardless of what Jesuit does this series right here. But Jesuit has had really, they've done a good job running the ball thus far and eating up clock.
5-yard penalty against the Jays. Their second penalty of the game, and the scoreboard, which has been a problem all game long, is now completely out here at the stadium. We have no idea what the situation is in terms of time, and probably won't the rest of the way, so it's guesswork. That's the scoreboard, folks. So we cannot relay any information to you about the time remaining. We do know the score, 7-0 Jesuit. We're early in the fourth quarter, and the Jays have it at the 20-yard line, where they'll play third down and about 11 yards to go here. And we'll take a timeout here. You're watching the WHNO High School Game of the Week, brought to you in part by Lamarck Motors and WHNO Sports.
The WHNO High School Game of the Week is brought to you by Lamarck Motor Company, Piccadilly Cafeteria, River Parish Disposal, Radiophone, Sam Yonter, Attorney at Law, Archbishop Rummel High School, John Curtis Christian School, P.F. Chang's China Bistro, Prime Equipment Company, Melorine Seafood and Po' Boys, New Life Center, Love That Smoothie, and WHNO TV 20.
This game is brought to you in part by J. Wilton Jones Company, distributors of hardware supplies for commercial and residential usage. For your sheet metal, copper, aluminum, and stainless steel needs, remember J. Wilton Jones Company at 2420 Piedmont Street in Kenner. Jesuit will play 3rd and 11 from the 20 in Rummel territory, leading 7-0 early fourth quarter. Jay Roth, of course, the head coach of the Raiders, was a successful quarterback at Rummel himself. Last outright district title for Rummel was when Jay Roth was the quarterback in 1980. They shared a district title in 1985 with Brother Martin. And, of course, Jay's father, Easton, has contacts on both sides. He was a very successful assistant and then head coach at Archbishop Rummel before becoming the athletic director at Jesuit. You're going to find you always have a lot of connections between these two schools because of their proximity and because of the number of student athletes that Jesuit draws from Jefferson Parish, which is Rummel's lair, of course. So a lot of family connections here between these two fine schools. This game is being brought to you in part by Prime Equipment Company, distributors of man lifts, tower generators, scissor lifts, and more for commercial and industrial contracting for all your lifting needs. Remember, Prime Equipment Company. Rummel has Holy Cross next week. Jesuit has Shaw next week. Back-to-back tough games for the Blue Jays indeed, but they're in good shape to get a win here the way this one has unfolded here this afternoon. Rummel's just gotten progressively better under Jay Roth. They've gone from 7 wins to 8 wins to 9 wins as we look at Jay Pittman, his counterpart. In Roth's 3 years, they'd have to go to 10 this year. That's pretty tough. The only way you get there is to go the distance pretty much to get there. We'll take a timeout here. 7-0 Jesuit on top. You're watching the WHNO High School Game of the Week, brought to you in part by Lamarck Motors and WHNO Sports. Third and 11, Rittner back to pass. He's going deep toward the end zone. Godet incomplete. Godet had a slight step. Pass was too tall. Velasquez pretty good coverage. And the Blue Jay field goal team will come on in the person of Ricky Rodriguez. Rodriguez terrific. He's tied for 10th in the Metro at 36 points. He's hit some big ones this year. Best game against St. Aug when he had 40, 31, and 24-yard field goals to beat the Purple Knights that day. Hit one against Destrehan from 18, also from 37. 26-yarder against Carver. This will be a 37-yard attempt from the left hash mark. Good snap, ball down, kick in the air. Lots of distance, good-looking kick. And you know it, he's got it. Ricky Rodriguez from 37 yards out gives Jesuit a 10-0 lead. There's a timeout on the field. The Blue Jays lead at 10-0. You're watching the WHNO High School Game of the Week, brought to you in part by Lamarck Motors and WHNO Sports. Blue Jays have taken control of this one, lead it 10-0 here early in the fourth quarter on a 37-yard field goal by Ricky Rodriguez. He has it teed up at his own 40-yard line. Hits it high, short. Fielded at the 19, reversing field, trying to get back upfield is Graff. He's running sideways, though, and he's going nowhere and gets across the 20, so a 2-yard return to the 21. Wind blowing on it, tough to field, and he had to give ground. And Rummel starts deep in their own territory with a major uphill climb, and this is not their personality, Renee. They're going to have to start throwing the ball to have a chance in this game.
Yeah, Wilson's going to have to open things up just a little bit, and H.J. Adams says I'm sure he's going to be on the field somewhere. You got to get his hands on the ball, and we mentioned 8 grabs, 18.5 yards per catch. When he's running the ball, he's pretty dangerous, as evidenced by the first half. So H.J. Adams has to be a very vital part of this series right here.
Smith the lone setback. Adams split wide left. Off of the fake, Wilson steps up, might run, and he's wrapped up and dropped by O'Neal. Well, you just can't get away from this kid. It's going to be a loss of 2 or 3. He's been sacked 3 times trying to pass the ball. Rummel has done absolutely nothing offensively in the second half.
And Ryan O'Neal just came blitzing in from his linebacker position to corral the sophomore quarterback. I think he was trying to dial long distance. Coverage was good, so he took off on foot, and Ryan O'Neal put the brakes on Darius Wilson.
Coverage has been good all day for Jesuit. Rummel is still yet to complete a pass. It's a loss of 2. It's second down and 12 from the 19. Clock running. Under 10 minutes to play. We know that much. Wilson rolling. He stops. He'll run, and there's O'Neal again, spying, waiting for him, tackling him at the 23 after a short gain of about 3.
He's shadowing Wilson everywhere he goes. You know, you look at the great linebackers that have come through here, Regis Bourgeois and Marshawn Kenny, 2 former All-State middle linebackers, and Ryan O'Neal is right in that class, maybe the best of the 3. And Darius Wilson, as you see, he's rolling left, looking for some help here, and cutting it back, and as Ryan O'Neal waiting for him, the mark of a good linebacker, good instincts, and just kind of feels where the play is going to be.
Always seems to be there, doesn't he? It's third down for Rummel, about 8 yards to go, and they absolutely need to do something here from their own 23. Receivers to either side, single setback and a slot left. Incomplete behind the intended receiver. And Rummel must punt the football. So 3 and out for the Raiders again, and they're going nowhere here in the second half.
Good look by Gary Bordelon right there. He blankets the wide receiver, and if you complete a pass on number 24, you know, you really got to do a heck of a job. He's got great position, and you have to beat him. Good man-to-man player and good athlete. I had the pleasure of coaching that young man since he's about 6 years old. As bad as the coaching was, he turned into a pretty good player, Kenny.
Patrick Murphy to punt the ball away. Gaudet standing at about his 45. Jesuit should get excellent field position once more. Line drive kick. Gaudet with room. 45. And a good tackle at about the 47. Nicely done on the coverage by Jacob Mathern, and Jesuit gets it at their own 46. In control, 10-0, looking to run some clock and move the football here once more. This game is brought to you in part by River Parish Disposal, the only independent, full-service, locally owned and operated waste disposal company in Greater New Orleans. Commercial, industrial, residential, and compactor rental. Sales service are offered at a savings of up to 25%. Call River Parish Disposal and find out how you can save on your disposal needs at 738-7700. River Parish Disposal, business stinks, but it's picking up. Rittner wants to throw. He's sacked. Well, a little bit surprised there. Coming in, knifing through, Michael Dubuque gets him. Thought they might start running some clock with that 10-point lead, but Rittner was going for the big play, and Dubuque was there defensively.
Yeah, he gets pumped up, very excited, and gets a little nasty streak in him around game time, and Michael came in from the outside from his strong outside linebacker position. You know, he nearly came up with an interception in the first quarter for the Raiders, and he's been making that offense pay for it ever since.
And Dubuque was held on the play, it appeared, and there is a flag down. Despite being held, he got enough of a piece of Rittner to tackle him. And the discussion with the Rummel players. Play resulted in about a 7 or 8 yard loss. They'll probably decline it. And that's what will happen. Ethan Macaluso signaling. And it will be second down for Jesuit from their own 37-yard line. Loss of 9 officially. Second and 19.
Rummel's got some defensive tackles returning in 99. Dabdube, of course, along with Benny Mills and Charles McDuff, who comes in and sporadically to get some playing time. So you got the interior of that defensive line. Of course, Clark and Dubuque will return, but you lose the rest of that defensive team.
Jays taking their time here as they break the huddle, head to the line of scrimmage. And they were taking a lot of time, and I think they realized they only had 5 seconds left, and they take a timeout. So the Blue Jays take timeout. 10-0 Jesuit, fourth quarter. You're watching the WHNO High School Game of the Week, brought to you in part by Lamarck Motors and WHNO Sports. Second and 19 Jesuit, their own 37-yard line. Rittner wants to throw again. So the Jays aren't sitting on it, and he's going deep and nowhere to land. Incomplete, intended for Quick. And it will be third down. Rummel had it read very well. Jesuit has scored with possessions on the plus side of the field. Started a touchdown drive from the Rummel 40 and a field goal drive from the Rummel 49. Of course, the big play thus far in this one, the turnover. Fumble recovery by the Jays that set their touchdown drive in motion, and the Jesuit defense has just been outstanding.
Really have, and they tried to isolate Quick on Mayenza, a cornerback. Shows what kind of abilities Quick can possesses and what he can do. So, yeah, I can see Jesuit going up top again. They're not satisfied with a 10-point advantage.
High formation and flags down, and again we have a dead ball foul. We've had Rummel jump off sides defensively twice, and I think they've done it again. This has just not been a well-played game by Rummel, Renee.
No, penalties, a game like this is historically how close it has been the last few years. You can't afford any penalties, and Rummel has had a bushel full of them. 7
now, unofficially 65 yards. That was a 3rd and 17, and offsides prior to the play. Maybe Rittner is staggering his cadence a bit to throw them off. 42 the line of scrimmage now, and 3rd and 13. High formation. Wants to throw again. He's going deep. He has a man downfield and incomplete. Just a little bit too far for Jason Stopa, who showed some speed to clear, but incomplete, and Jesuit must punt the football.
And Stopa had gotten a step or two on Lamy. And we mentioned earlier that Stopa is the guy that stretches that defense, possessing the 4.5 speed. When he's in, you can bet they're dialing long distance.
Rummel has come close twice to blocking punts by Rodriguez. Let's see if they're coming again. Not as hard. Short punt and a bounce for Rummel. This will work out well for the Raiders. They'll get plus field position on their side of the field, but at about the 43. And the clock, of course, running down. We don't have the official time, so we can't tell you. As we speak, 10-0 Jesuit. This game is brought to you in part by Cafe Cafe, the newest restaurant on the North Shore. Stop in for early morning gourmet coffee or tea. Cafe Cafe has a large selection of soups, salads, sandwiches, or one-of-a-kind desserts prepared fresh every day for lunch and dinner. Cafe Cafe is now open for lunch on Sundays. Cafe Cafe is located at 3900 Highway 22 in Mandeville and on West Esplanade and Clearview in Metairie. Raider football, their own 43. Give it to Adams inside and breaks a tackle, gets a block, bouncing outside, first down Rummel, and gets out of bounds in Jesuit territory to the 44. I hate to embellish a point, Renee, but I think we talked earlier about really that looks like their best approach, just running right at them and trying to make yardage. Tough to do when you're down 10 in the fourth, but it worked there again.
Well, Jesuit has shut him down a good bit thus far, but yeah, H.J. Adams, when he has his hands on the ball, that's your best opportunity right there. H.J. Adams, in spite of his injury, she's got some feelers from Arkansas and Nicholls State, so he may be playing in college on Saturdays next year.
Raiders on the Jesuit side of the field for a second time in the game. 44-yard line, 1st and 10. Adams the lone setback. Steltz the motion man. Adams on a counter play right inside. Leaps over one tackle, but there's a flag down. Likely against the offense for holding. A gain of about 3, but hold everything. Flag from the side judge. Rummel clapping about it, though. That could be a sign that it might be on the Jays as we wait to see what this is all about. So the option discussed, they're pointing at Jesuit, so this could be against the Blue Jays here.
Good look at the offensive lineman for the Rummel Raiders. Got some size up front. Chatelaine, haven't talked about him much thus far. 330 pounds and a 2-year starter. He has been offered by Tulane, Southern Mississippi, Virginia, and Tennessee, so he will be playing in college in '99.
This is 15 yards, and it's dead ball after the play. A huge penalty against Jesuit. Will set Rummel up with its best field position of the game. That's a chop on the defense. You don't see that very often, but it was called here. Third penalty against Jesuit, 35 yards. First down Rummel at the Jesuit 26. And if the Raiders can put points on the board here, they still have a shot in this game. Twin backs behind Wilson. Counter play Adams. He's smashed down for a big loss. Reading it all the way. Coming through unmolested for Jesuit was 91. Luke Weiler, sophomore defensive lineman. He was all over that play.
He read it very well, shot the gap, and was right in the backfield before H.J. Adams could get started and cause any damage. And Weiler really played that well from his defensive line position.
So a loss for Rummel of 3, second and 13 now as the clock runs. This Jesuit defense just won't give much. Wilson a long count here. He'll run the lead option and pitch it to Adams with room. H.J. gets a block. 20-15 and down near the 10. First down Rummel. H.J. Adams rambles for about 19. That play was well executed.
He took a shot on the ground. I tell you, that artificial turf doesn't give very much. H.J. Adams got a little smudge, a little kiss from Ryan O'Neal when he let it go. He got a little hit and kind of paid, but he released the ball to H.J. Adams and scoot up for a nice gain. And 10-yard line, Rummel knocking on the door.
It's first and goal just inside the 10. They cannot make a first down. First and goal. This was well executed by Rummel and well blocked.
And Wilson's going to take a hit right here. Watch this. As soon as he releases the ball, can't see it, bang, but he took it. H.J. Adams got a good occupy block down the field by Nieto, the wide receiver.
On first down, Adams again, this time off tackle, a yard, that's all, maybe the 8. That will run the clock some more as Jesuit gives ground grudgingly here. It will be second down and goal for Rummel at about the 8.
And Stelz is coming in the backfield now to add a little blocking up front. So you can bet that H.J. Adams will get the call again this time.
Second and goal, line of scrimmage about the 8-yard line. Scoreboard again is out. We don't have the official time remaining. Split backs behind Wilson. Darris on the keeper. Darris Wilson to the end zone. Touchdown, Rummel. Darris Wilson from 8 yards out, and Rummel's in the game.
Quarterback draw by Darris Wilson. Not the fastest runner, but he did a good job. The sophomore just scoots in from about 8 yards out and puts the Raiders on the scoreboard and made this into a game once again. What you see right here, 2 steps right here. Looked like he's going to pass. Just faked the linebacker, Jason Baer, right out of his shoes and scoots up the sidelines for a touchdown, and Rummel is on the scoreboard.
Great block by Hollinger and a good block downfield by Nieto. Extra point attempt forthcoming from Christian Louvier. Louvier to try it out of the hold of Emile Maffei. And Louvier hits it right down the middle. So a timeout on the field. It is now Jesuit 10, Rummel 7 in the fourth quarter. Back in just a moment. You're watching the WHNO High School Game of the Week, brought to you in part by Lamarck Motors and WHNO Sports.
Mike and Q-Town.
10-7 Jesuit now. Probably about 5 minutes left. That's a guess. Brant Quick will be deep along with Gary Bordelon for the Jays, as Christian Louvier will kick it off for the Raiders, who are on the board and back in the game. Louvier approaches it and hits it well. And this ball is into the end zone, and Louvier hits it well for a touchback. Jesuit will start at its 20-yard line. Big possession of the game coming up for the Blue Jays, and we want to remind you that this game is brought to you in part by J. Wilton Jones Company, distributors of hardware supplies for commercial and residential usage. For your sheet metal, copper, aluminum, and stainless steel needs, remember J. Wilton Jones Company at 2420 Piedmont Street in Kenner. For a VHS copy of tonight's game or for any of the WHNO games of the week, send a check or money order for $30 to WHNO TV 20, 1100 Jefferson Davis Parkway in New Orleans, Louisiana, 70125, the zip. This is Quick on the cutback. Quick, he is still pumping. Look at this kid go. 7, maybe 8. There wasn't much there. He is so strong, and that's a huge run by Quick. If Jesuit can make a first down or two, Renee, they might could win this game with the clock starting to wind down.
And he carried a couple of pretty good would-be tacklers, Kirkley along with him, and he cuts it back right here and just cuts away from Benny Mills, makes the collision with Kirkley, and that's no shoddy tackler there. And once again, great individual leg drive and individual effort. Almost picks up a first down to show up by a couple of yards.
You got to believe they'll just keep giving him the ball here and trying to run that clock. 2nd and 3 at the 27. Need the 30 for a first down. Rummel with 8 men in the box. They'll give it to Quick inside. Quick has a first down across the 30. He's still pumping. He breaks loose. He's running over people. He's out to the 42. Is this kid tough or is he tough?
It's determination, Ken, and that's what's made him the player he is. A lot of individual effort. Yes, credit the offensive front, but he made something out of that. He was all bottled up right here, and good block by James right there. Just cut it away from him. Hit once there by Lamy. Breaks that tackle. Hit here by Wiltz. No one wraps up, though, and you can see he continues to go up the field and just dragging players with him. Velasquez was another one who got a ride.
Blue Jays at their own 42. They get one big first down. They look for more. With Quick behind Rittner. Quick again. Breaks one tackle, but not the second. Dabdoob this time hits him and locks him and drives him down. But the clock will continue to run.
I mean, with the initial contact and kind of slowed him up a little bit for his teammates to come in and make the gang tackle.
2nd and 10 for Jesuit at their own 42. Again, the clock not working. And in a close game, that's really disconcerting. We can't tell you the situation. Probably more disconcerting for the coaches. They have the scoreboard back up, but no clock operating. From the 42-yard line, 2nd and 10. Twin receivers left, Quick in the backfield. You know he'll get it again. He does. He's pounding forward. He's still on his feet. He's still driving. Whistles will finally blow after about 6, maybe 7 for Quick. Well, he's something else with that strength. Give him 6 to the 48. And you know he'll get it again here, won't he, Renee?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, because if you got a horse, ride him, and Brant Quick has done a great job. Just all bunched done. He just burrows a hole, as we said. He's in a one-back set. He's his own blocker, and Courtney, you just see pushing the pile there. 3rd and short yards.
Well, 3rd and 5 from the 47. Big play for the Jays. Raider defense must stop them here if they want to have a chance, and Quick gets it. And down he goes near midfield. Short of a first down, lacking about 3. So Jesuit, it appears, will have to punt the football. Rummel's going to take a timeout, it looks like, as the clock starts to wind down. So the Raiders do take a timeout here, trying to stop the clock. They might have a better idea about what remains in terms of time in this game. Exciting prep action continues each Saturday when WHNO Sports brings you the high school game of the week. Tune in next Saturday for a big 9-5A district game between Archbishop Shaw, the defending state runner-ups, and these Jesuit Blue Jays, defending state semifinalists, at a special time, 4 p.m. only on WHNO TV 20. I'll remember earlier Jesuit faked a punt. That would be a real gamble here, but Rummel has to keep that in mind. Rummel's also come close a couple of times to getting punts here today, and I wouldn't be surprised to see them come after this one.
They have to sell out on this if they're going to kick the ball, because they need the ball down here at this end of the field. They must get either a block here or a good return, one or the other. But Rummel, right now, the clock is running out on him.
Renee, the Jesuit offense is still on the field. It's 4th down, about 2.5 at midfield, and the Jesuit offense is on the field. They are going for it, folks.
Well, dial number 46, you can bet he's going to get it.
Huge play right here, folks, on 4th and 2.5. They'll give it to Quick. He's hit, and I don't know. He's close. Second effort might have gotten it. Second effort might have gotten it near the 48. He's so strong. So strong. It depends on the mark. He got a good mark. He looks to have it from my vantage point.
He's got it, Ken. It looks like I'm quite certain he's going to have the first down, and that's going to be tough. You can see Quick right now with that great leg drive just one hit right there, bounces off it, and you see Kirkley put the hat on him. But, you know, he bench presses 375, squats 575. What a powerfully built running back.
Boy, this is so close. Unbelievably close. This is unbelievably close. Rummel football. Can you believe it? Unbelievable gamble by the Jays, Renee. And it comes up short. Rummel goes crazy. He lacked the first down by an inch. I'm not exaggerating. Ooh. Rummel football. There's J. Roth sending Wilson back out on the field. Chandler Rose next to him. Rummel's going to get it at their own 48. They're only down by 3. We know it's late, but they have good field position here. Down by 3.
Remember, this is a team, Jesuit defense, that is shut out, virtually shut everyone out they've played thus far on the ground. So Darius Wilson and staff are really going to be challenged here.
Harris Wilson under center, 3 receivers right, single setback Smith. That's a motion man, Richardson. And a fake by Wilson. Looking, fakes. He's going to run, and he's across midfield. It got about 2 yards, but the clock will continue to run. They just haven't been able to throw the ball at all. They haven't even threatened a completion today in this ball game. It is second down, about 8.
They're going to have to get some, put some air underneath the ball and get a pass completed here to kind of open up that defense a little bit and make them play a little more honestly. And you see Wilson right here looking to throw, but just it tucks it and goes pretty quickly. Not much to throw to, and pressure was on.
O'Neal made the tackle. And here's a quarterback draw. Wilson running left, trying to get outside, gets a block. 45, 40 out of bounds. First down Raiders. Good run by Wilson and a good read. And he stops the clock as well. Darius Wilson with a good run to the Jesuit 38.
Wilson trying to do it on his own right here with the lead blocker. Ryan Richardson puts a hat on somebody. Ryan O'Neal in pursuit. A little collision there with Graziano. And Darius Wilson gets out of bounds, escorted by Gary Bordelon and company.
Raiders at the Jesuit 37, trailing by 3 late. First down and 10 from that point. Twin receivers left, single receiver to the right. And the I formation behind Darius Wilson. Runs the option right, he's in trouble, and he is down for a loss. Down for a loss. 31, Lance Lenford was waiting for him. 2-yard loss for the Raiders. And they're not in field goal position at this point, Renee.
That clock's got to be a factor now, Ken. It's got to be under 2 minutes to play. You see Darius Wilson taking the snap from center and trying to make something happen right here. Brandon Moore getting a hand on him along with O'Neal. That's a good defensive effort by the Jesuit Blue Jays.
And now Adams in the backfield. Second down and 12, 39. Wilson under center. Wants to pass. Steps up. He's sacked again. 4th sack of the game by Jesuit. Brandon Moore has been tremendous, and he decks Wilson. And Wilson slow to get up, and the inability of Rummel to throw the ball might cost them this game.
Brandon Moore, just the roof caved in as he blindsided, came barreling in and wrapped his 5'10", 245-pound frame around him. He beat a block right here and just annihilated Darius Wilson, and now it's going to be a tough decision here.
Well, it's 3rd and 17 from the 45. Of course, 4-down territory for Rummel. But again, Renee, they're just unable to even come close to executing a pass in this game. And again, against a quality defense like Jesuit, that's tough. That's tough, especially when you lose yardage on first down, because then it puts you in a passing mode. Tried to throw a screen pass earlier in this game. That's a safe play. Trying to get it on the flat to an Adams or somebody that can do something with it. But of course, Jesuit read that well also earlier in the game.
A couple of crossing patterns were not successful either. You know, Jesuit Blue Jays had held Serrari to 59 yards on the ground, Carver to 77. Of course, 70 of that was in one play. Holy Cross -5, St. Augustine 17, and Brother Martin 32 yards on the ground. This is a tough defensive unit coached by Jay Pittman.
3rd and 17 at the 45-yard line. Jesuit territory, clock is winding down. We do know that much. We don't know how much time remaining as Rummel in a passing mode now. Jesuit a 4-man front. Wilson's running the option right. Wilson to the 30, 45, rather the 40, and down inside the 40 near the 35. Well short of a first down, and they're really not in field goal range. It would be 55 yards as they mark it at the 37. And I just don't think you can try it from there, Renee. I think they have to go for the first down here, don't you?
Oh, there's no question, Ken. This is way too far for anything else.
Well, guess what? Here comes the field goal team. They're going to try a 55-yard field goal here as we watch the option again, but that's not the story here. The story's on the field right now. 55-yard field goal attempt by Christian Louvier for the tie. Can he get it there? That's the big question with a swirling wind.
He's got a leg, Ken. He definitely has the leg strength.
Snap is high. They fake it. And nobody open. And now he stops. Truax looks. He throws. And it's caught to the 20, 15, 10. And out of bounds near the 5. A brilliant play to Myers. The fake field goal. Truax to Myers. First and goal. Rummel near the 5.
I just couldn't convince myself they were going for a 55-yard field goal. Look, and Miner has come barreling in, gets his hand on him, but Truax with the throw. What a great play designed right here. And Ken, when you're in a game like this, it's pull out all stops, anything goes.
First and goal at the 7. David Myers, the big play, and you've got to give Truax, Matt Truax, the sophomore backup quarterback, and Holder all the credit there for evading Miner and making a perfect throw. And a timeout taken by Rummel late in the game, 10-7 Jesuit. You're watching the WHNO High School Game of the Week, brought to you in part by Lamarck Motors and WHNO Sports. Again, Renee, a look at the fake field goal, which Truax did a great job on.
Miner was not fooled, and he nearly made the tackle, which would have saved the play right here. But now, good play from Truax to Myers. Big catch, only catch of the game, but none bigger than that one right there.
From the 7-yard line, here we go. First and goal, Rummel with motion. And counterplay Adams off right tackle to the 5 and driven back. He got 2, and that's all. The clock's running, and we don't know, again, how much time is remaining. It is second and goal. Rummel racing to the line of scrimmage, lining up. They have 2 plays called. Line it up from the 5-yard line. Raiders have twin backs behind Wilson. Darris under center. Darris with the snap runs the option left. Wilson will try to get to the goal line. It will! Touchdown Raiders! Darris Wilson from 5 yards out, and the Rummel Raiders have come from behind to take the lead over Jesuit.
What a gutsy play by the sophomore quarterback, Darris Wilson, running the option, going left, and you have to focus some attention on H.J. Adams. Good fake on Bear right there. Cuts it outside, and Wilson, not the fastest or fleetest, but he has that nose for the end zone and smelled pay dirt and scored for the Raiders, and they take the lead. Boy, I tell you what, Ken, this game is really turned around.
Christian Louvier with a very important extra point with a 3-point difference right now. And the holder for Rummel here is Maffey. Good snap, ball down. That's right down the middle, and the Raiders have a 4-point lead. Rummel 14, Jesuit 10. We'll keep it right here. It's late in the game, and we wish we could tell you how much time was left, but we simply don't know.
It has to be under a minute, Ken. It's got to be under a minute.
Well, it certainly is inside of 2. With Rummel running 2 plays, the line of scrimmage has to be within 2 minutes to play. Scoreboard clock has been out for a while. We remind you that for a VHS copy of this sizzling game or any of the WHNO games of the week, send a check or money order for $30 to WHNO TV 20, 1100 Jefferson Davis Parkway, New Orleans, Louisiana, the zip 70125. And if this score holds up, Darris Wilson unquestionably would be our player of the game with both Rummel touchdowns.
What poise under pressure. The sophomore quarterback Darris Wilson also played in one of the Kenner playgrounds, I think at Woodlake. He really stepped up and really became of age in this game his sophomore season.
Jays will get it back here. Louvier's kicked the ball into the end zone twice. Remember that. Quick and Bortle on deep. This one's not going to the end zone. It's on the ground. Quick can't handle it, though, and it does end up through the end zone nonetheless. Touchback. No time off the clock. Jesuit has it at their 20. Late in the game, likely in a passing mode.
But you mentioned Darris Wilson. What great games Brent Quick and Ryan O'Neal have had for the Jays.
Well, this would be a debilitating loss for Jesuit, but what an incredible victory for Rummel this would be. They were stymied for well over 3 quarters. In fact, they hadn't gotten anything done until about 7 minutes, 6:50 left in the game. stunning the Jesuit side of the field.
Some concerned cheerleaders right there.
Well, at this point, you go back and look at this game. It's a gamble, 4th and 2.5 from midfield. You go for it, don't make it, and Rummel got good field position and capitalized. Jesuit has a chance to do something about it here from their own 20. And Rittner wants to throw, and he does, and it is incomplete. A lot of confusion. None of the receivers looking for the ball, and it will be 2nd and 10 from the 20. Just a few ticks off the clock there.
It turns from one sophomore quarterback to another. Rittner pressures on this sophomore quarterback, and the Jays are going to have to go up top to make up the difference here. And it has to be, I tell you what, the clock is ticking down. It's got to be 40 to 50 seconds left.
Rittner got the play from the sideline quickly on the incomplete pass. He's ready to go back to work with a 2nd and 10 from the 20. 2 receivers left, single receiver right. And the quick hitch is thrown in the flat to Stopa. And he's drilled hard, and the clock will run. He's down to the 23, hit hard. Host of Raiders there. You see Mayenza Jason's played well. He always does. And a Blue Jay slow to get up. And that is the receiver, Stopa.
And you see he's blocking downfield. He's just bottled up by a host of white jerseys, nowhere to go. And I tell you, he took a pounding there, and that turf doesn't give any, Ken.
So with the injury on the play, time out on the field, 14 to 10, Rummel on top. You're watching the WHNO High School Game of the Week, brought to you in part by Lamarck Motors and WHNO Sports.
The WHNO High School Game of the Week is brought to you by Lamarck Motor Company, Piccadilly Cafeteria, River Parish Disposal, Radiophone, Sam Yonter, Attorney at Law, Archbishop Rummel High School, John Curtis Christian School, P.F. Chang's China Bistro, Prime Equipment Company, Melorine Seafood and Po' Boys, New Life Center, Love That Smoothie, and WHNO TV 20.
Jesuit at their own 23 with a 3rd and 7 late in the game. Rummel leading the Blue Jays 14 to 10. A lot of time to call that play. There's Jay Roth on the Rummel sideline. Every time these two teams get together, you just know it's going to be like this.
He's not tying his shoes, he's praying, Kenny.
Good idea. From the 23, Rittner off the fake. He'll deliver deep toward the sideline and incomplete. Trying to get it out there to Gaudet. Rummel had double coverage. Wiltz was right on the play, and he had help on the play with the man coverage by Rummel from Greg Whitman. The free safety, and this is it for Jesuit. 4th and 7, their own 23, and they have no choice here. They've got to go for it.
This is no quitting either one of these teams. Two great warriors. Jay Pittman, Jay Roth have been down this road before, not only as coaches but as players. And I tell you what a great job both these coaches have done to prepare their team for a big, big game, a must-win for both teams.
4th down 7, Jesuit, their last shot from their 23. High formation behind Rittner. He wants to throw. He's got time. He throws sideline and a diving effort. Incomplete. Incomplete for Gaudet. Rummel's going to get the ball. Rummel has control. And Jesuit falls short on this possession as Gaudet just had to go off of his fingertips. And the Raider offense will come back onto the field, needing just to run out the clock with a 4-point lead at the Jesuit 22.
We'll see how much time left. If they just kneel on the ball, it's pretty obvious where the clock is, Ken, and I think that's exactly what they're going to do.
Yeah, so you can go ahead and run down, Renee, and Darius Wilson, the Rummel quarterback, will be our PMAX player of the game here, should Rummel not commit a turnover in this situation. Wilson, one step, kneels down. Raiders are going to walk away with a big win over Jesuit here this afternoon. Raiders are going to go to 1-1 in league play, and the Blue Jays are going to drop to 2-2 in league play as Darius Wilson, the Rummel quarterback, has his team huddled up, and they'll break the huddle, and he'll just kneel on the ball once more as the Raiders obviously feel like the clock's just about expired. So they're just taking a knee here to run that clock. Again, Darius is taking all the time he possibly can here as he stands under center. And that's it. Time is run out The Archbishop Rummel Raiders defeat the Jesuit Blue Jays 14-10 in a huge 9-5A battle here at Tad Gormley this afternoon. What a come-from-behind win for Rummel. What a game here this afternoon. Improbable, unlikely, but indeed, as Rummel beats Jesuit 14-10, two good friends, Jay Roth and Jay Pittman, exchanging pleasantries. Just fine people. Father Pat McGinn exchanging pleasantries with Lon Elsie, a Rummel coach who went to Jesuit, with Jay Roth, who coached at Jesuit. As we mentioned, a lot of contacts on both sides. And Rummel wins it this afternoon by the score of 14-10. We'll take the break, back with our post game in a moment. You're watching the WHNO High School Game of the Week, brought to you in part by Lamarck Motors and WHNO Sports.
The WHNO High School Game of the Week is brought to you by Lamarck Motor Company, Piccadilly Cafeteria, River Parish Disposal, Radiophone, Sam Yonter, Attorney at Law, Archbishop Rummel High School, John Curtis Christian School, P.F. Chang's China Bistro, Prime Equipment Company, Melorine Seafood and Po' Boys, New Life Center, Love That Smoothie, and WHNO TV 20.
All right, Frank. Thank you.
A stirring comeback victory for the Archbishop Rummel Raiders. They defeat the Jesuit Blue Jays 14-10. Ken Trahan with you, sending it down to the field where Renee Nato is standing by with victorious Rummel coach Jay Roth and our D-Max player of the game, Darius Wilson.
Thank you, Ken. And yes, we are with Jay Ross and Darius Wilson. And Jay, what an exciting game, a typical Rummel Jesuit game. Talk about that fake field goal you went for it and completed a pass. Tell me a little bit about it.
Well, Renee, it's something we practiced all week. We were going to do it at the first opportunity we had at a field goal in the game. I didn't expect it to come on fourth down with 20-something seconds left to go in the game. And I guess, when it gets desperate, you do desperate things. But we had two young men make plays, and Matt Truax, our sophomore backup quarterback, and David Myers. They made a play, and we punched it in for the scoring points.
A typical Rummel Jesuit game, wasn't it, Jay?
Typical. I've been on the backside of this for the last 2 years, and it was looking kind of bleak there for a while. But my hats off to my players, man. They just kept their heads up. Defense made good plays, and it was typical.
You mentioned your defense. What a stunning defensive front they had there when you held on fourth down. It had to be a gutsy move by Coach Pittman and staff.
It was a gutsy move for Coach Pittman to go for it. It's lights out. If they punt, they take a chance of getting the block. That was his call. Our defense rose to the occasion. I think it was pretty close, too. But it gave us the ball back and an opportunity to do something.
A tale of two halves. What happened at halftime, Coach?
Well, I was kind of surprised they came out and moved the ball like that after their first series, after we played so well on defense. And offensively, we went 11 plays on one drive in the first half, got no points. We kind of went 3 and out. And it seems like when it got desperate there, we made some plays at the end.
And a young man to my left is the player of the D-Max, player of the game, Darius Wilson. And Darius, a couple of touchdown runs. Tell us a little bit about both those plays.
First of all, I'd like to give credit to my offensive line. They did a great job. And I'd like to give credit to Matt Truax and David Myers making a great play. I just cut it up and turned it outside. We used a little speed to get to the outside. Hopefully I was making it, and I did.
Darius, they had you bottled up in the first half. What adjustments did you make offensively to turn it around and come out on top in this game?
I just cut my head up. I knew I could, if I play well, if I just cut my head up and just said I wasn't going to let my team down, I came out and made some big plays second half.
Big win for the Rummel Raiders, 14-10. We'll send it back up to you, Kenny.
All right, thank you very much, Renee. And, of course, Darius Wilson is our D-Max player of the game. And our congratulations to Darius Wilson for his outstanding performance. The player of the game sponsored by D-Max Trophies, located in Metairie at 40.